Welcome. This is Tracy at Tracy-McCallum.com. So, making smart choices from an energy context. This idea was a game changer for me in the mid 1990s, and this is the principle that it's based on. Everything either gives us energy, drains energy, takes energy from us, or it has a neutral effect on us, one way or the other. This means that any choice that we make either has as its consequence, it gives us energy, lifts us more into life, it takes energy from us, it drains it in some way, or it's neutral, one way or the other. What I was introduced to in the mid 1990s was in my polarity training, our teacher gave us an experiment to do that would help us begin to recognize, help us begin to have awareness as to what we were doing and what its effect was. And so she suggested this question to us to pose to ourselves for any choice. And if you try this, I suggest you start out with minor choices, like you're invited to go do something. Will you exercise now or later? Will you do this project now or not ever? Or maybe later? Something that doesn't have a grave consequence one way or the other, a significant consequence. So this is the question. Does it serve my life force? Now, what the teacher suggested is that we would get an instantaneous answer, and most of us did. But the next thing that would happen is our mind would argue it. And then we were to make a choice. Either way, it didn't matter. But to notice what the initial answer was and what our response was to the answer, and then make a choice, and then notice how that choice went. Well, this was so significant to me because until that time, unconsciously, the guidelines I was using for whatever choice I was making was either because I wanted to do something or not, that's a good reason, whether it was the right choice or not, and whether it would disappoint someone, whether the consequences could be uncomfortable for someone else. It never occurred to me that it would have lingering effects to me. And that's why this experiment was so important, because it either gave me energy, it took energy, or it didn't matter one way or the other. So fortunately, I had very compassionate friends, and they were used to, I gave unusual answers to things. And so if my answer was a no, and if I gave myself permission to honor that no, which I've got to say I didn't at first, I got a no, I argued away from it, and I went ahead and did it, and it just didn't work out. I felt crummy one way or the other, and it was a revelation to me. And then the next time it happened, I got a no, but I did it anyway. And again, I felt crummy. It was so clear that the no was true. I started trusting it, but I had to face acting on the no. And so I did. And fortunately, I had friends that were used to my unusual response. And even though it was uncomfortable for me to decline an invitation, I'd say something like, you know what? I think it's really important for me to stay at home now. I didn't have to say much more. And those people that I could be honest with, I shared this experiment with them. And it was a revelation for them too. Because when you make a choice that is in alignment with your life force, it lines you up with the harmony of life. And if you make a choice for whatever reasons that isn't aligned with your life force, well, then it's off track of what's in harmony with life. And as you give yourself permission to do this, you model giving permission for other people to do the same. So I suggest, if you're up for it, asking yourself the same question for some choice that's ahead of you for the next week. Notice what your initial response is, what the answer is. Notice if you argue it, and then make your decision that's alignment with the original answer or not, it doesn't matter. And then pay attention to what happens next. And what do you learn? It is part of being smart with your choices from an energy context. I'm interested in what you find out. Thank you. I'm Tracy at tracy-mccallum.com.